Have you ever wondered why it's so difficult and that we get so stuck in this vicious cycle of sugar cravings? Well, today we're actually going to talk about how we get biologically wired to eat sugar and what emotional triggers can actually do and how they play a role in continuing this cycle or keeping us stuck in it. Welcome back. So for those of you that are new here, hi, my name is Ruby and my goal is to help you get to the root of the problem so that you can have balance in mind, body, and spirit and live a supercharged life. So let's dive in and talk about how sugar actually hijacks the brain. Now, this is a very complex process. And there are so many different neurotransmitters. Those are chemicals that are released in your brain, in the neurons. They play a different role of sending different signals. We are focusing more on the top researched one that has given us a lot of data and information. And then we're going to dive into the emotional aspect of what is actually going on. Our brain is one of the organs that actually requires most of the energy that we consume per day just to function, and it actually cleans up at night when you're sleeping. There are actually several parts of the brain collectively known as the reward center. And the reward center is what is associated with sugar cravings or addiction or gambling. It's actually the same center. So if someone has sugar addiction, their reward center lights up and sends signals, same as the person that has a drug abuse problem, same as the individual that actually has a gambling addiction. So there's no difference because ultimately, the point is that it's related to an addiction of some sort because of the signaling. So the number one most researched neurotransmitter is known as a dopamine. It actually sends signals between the nerve endings, and it is the one that's actually associated with a reward and pleasure. It's also released when there is a blood sugar spike. That's how your brain registers that this specific neurotransmitter needs to be released. This neurotransmitter is one of the main reasons why we are so stuck in this vicious cycle of sugar cravings. When you have something for breakfast and then you're still hungry and you're not fulfilled, or you're on a plane and you're doing really good and then all of a sudden you get this an intense craving and something happens. So I'm going to give you a great example of something that was my problem that I used to have. And I used to have a lot of problem with sugar, and I realized later on that it was because of how I was associating with it. I think actually it's a better time to talk about it now so we can really understand the reward and the pleasure that dopamine effect has and why we associate it that way as well. So as a young child, I used to get sick a lot actually, and I realized that whenever I was sick, my mom actually gave me either cheese Danish and ice cream because those were my favorite. I loved sweets. Believe it or not, I don't really eat sugar now, and I've come a long way from there. But I realized that what did having to eat something sweet give me? Even as an adult, as I grew older and away from my mom, I realized that I craved something sweet whenever I was sick. So I always questioned, why is that happening? You know, what's the reason behind me craving sweets if I'm eating good? Then I realized that it's not just that I'm only not eating good, but it's also because it gave me comfort and it made me feel loved, because that's what my mom did for me. So you see, the meaning that it held for me was a lot more deeper and connected to something else deep down within me, that it didn't matter what the brain thinks. So a lot of times when we're changing our habit in order to get rid of these cravings, we have to dive deeper and understand why is it that we're emotionally also triggered to actually consume these foods and why we crave them. What are the feelings that it gives you? How does it make you feel? Don't forget to wait till the end of the video where I actually give you 10 different ways that you can start changing and incorporating in your life that will help you achieve your goal of saying goodbye to these cravings for good and really having that control over yourself. Another neurotransmitter that's actually released when we consume sugar is serotonin. Now, serotonin is also released when you have a healthy diet with foods that's actually made from proteins. However, it's still released when you eat high sugary foods, and serotonin is known as the happy chemical. Now we have dopamine, which gives you a reward and pleasure, and serotonin makes you feel happy. Now we have taste receptors in the front of our tongue, and when you actually eat something sugary, your receptors in the tongue actually recognize that, and they send out a signal into your brain, and that's how all of this actually starts. Number 3 is actually known as endorphins. You may have heard of it because whenever we work out, we have the happy endorphins that make us feel good and happy as well. So endorphins are actually a group of different hormones that are released, and they actually activate a specific receptor in the reward system, so they continue the process with the neurotransmitter to make you feel good. That's why having sugar and continuing to consume sugar will continue to make you feel that you're happier, you feel good, you have pleasure, and you're feeling rewarded for it. How many times have you done this where you've said to yourself that, oh, if I do this, I can have a cookie, or if I work out really well today, I can have one cookie or one little piece of cake. So a lot of times what happens, it's not that one piece of cake that actually makes it worse. It's over time when we're continuously overdosing with sugar, it's what leads to imbalance in the dopamine receptor. Instead of leveling out, it kind of stays higher and it gets out of imbalance because there's just way too much sugar. It cannot balance it out. So now we're going to actually delve into the 10 different ways that you can actually change or create a change, not just in your environment, but in the food that you eat and the different things that you do in your lifestyle that's going to really help you get to the bottom of cravings. Number 1 are healthy fats. Healthy fats actually help you keep you satisfied because they're full of vitamins and minerals, but they also prevent the blood sugar spike that we get that releases that neurotransmitter dopamine. So you're going to be fuller longer and you're going to be getting more of a balanced meal. Fats are super important, and your brain is actually 60% fat. So it's important that we consume healthy fats in our diet daily. Number 2 is hydration. Many times when we are hungry, those are the times when we reach out for anything that we want to eat, and it ends up being something sugary, and it's because we are thirsty. So in order for you to actually have more control over your cravings, it's best so that you stay hydrated. So remembering to drink water whenever you're hungry, and then wait at least 15 to 20 minutes and see if you're still hungry, if you're still craving something, because most of the time that will disappear and your hunger will dissipate and you will be fine. Number 3, proteins. Clean proteins are super important. They are actually essential for your diet every single day. Your cells, your body, everything, most of the structure actually in your body is made of proteins and fats. So it is essential that you include proteins every day. And most of us either undereat or overeat, but chances are if you're eating a lot of sugary foods, then you're getting low amount of protein. And so protein will keep you fuller and also help decrease that sugar spike, which again keeps that neurotransmitters in check. Number 4, avoiding artificial sweeteners. And now this one is important because there is plenty of research now out there that shows the negative effects of including aspartame specifically, but artificial sweeteners in general. And Another reason why we want to avoid artificial sweetener is because you're not really changing your taste buds if you're still consuming something sweet. And for that matter, even if you're having stevia or anything else that you're including sweet, if you really want to have control back and balance your signals in the brain, then I highly recommend that you try to just eliminate processed sugar and added sugar in any form in your plan until you feel like you have control. So we want to balance that out. We can't do that if we continuously tell our brains that you're still getting something sweet, because the taste, remember, the taste actually activates the reward center as well. So we want to remember that and avoid that initially, at least. Number 5, choose a fiber-rich foods. And now this one may be obvious because we all know fiber is good for us. We get very little fiber than we used to ages ago or decades ago actually. And it's important to include fiber-rich foods, not because it only keeps you fuller, but it actually feeds your healthy biome, your microbiome, the healthy bacteria in your gut. And it helps them, it feeds them so they can do its job and they can keep the unhealthy bacteria, the bad bacteria, in control. Number 6, reading food labels. Now, food labels are really important to read because most of our foods have hidden sugars. There are hundreds of different names for sugar, and it can really make it difficult to know where you're getting your sugar from. So if you're not reading your label, then I highly recommend that start paying attention to what is in your food. The hidden sugars in different food are what actually also keeps you stuck in this cycle, because you're going to continue to have that craving, because again, you know, the taste triggers the reward center. If you're getting in your food, you're still going to have it, especially when you're trying to get off of it. Number 7 is sleep. Sleeping well is super important to your health, and it goes the same for cravings, because first, you're actually staying up longer. If you're not sleeping on time and you're getting less sleep, you're going to be hungrier and you're going to be stressed. You're going to likely crave more sugar, and so that's one reason. The other one is that your hormones can get really out of balance. If you're in a state of stress, which we're going to actually get into, I'm a little bit ahead of myself, then what's going to happen is your hormones are going to be imbalanced. And this goes, again, the same thing. So if you're not sleeping well, you are going to crave more sugar. So start sleeping well. And if you're having trouble sleeping, then I highly recommend, you know, delving deep into that and figuring out what can help you to sleep well, because that will make a dramatic difference in how you feel. Number 8 is stress. If you haven't guessed it, then it's because, as I mentioned just with sleep, that stress is a big factor, because when the hormone cortisol is high, a lot of times we have more need to crave sugar, and that leads to cravings, and then we just stay stuck in that cycle. So in stress, we just go for that comfort food because it also relaxes us. You know, it also brings us pleasure and reward, because when you're stressed, what do you want to do? You want to kind of alleviate that stress, and you want to forget about it. And even if it's temporary, you want to feel good, and it just comes in the wrong way, right? Sugar cravings just comes in the wrong way because sugar impacts you in so many other ways. Number 9, eat the rainbow. Now, this one is super, super, super important, because eating the rainbow means that you're eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, because this is where the nutrients are. One of the biggest reasons that someone can have a lot of cravings, it could be very simple, that your diet is just devoid of nutrients. If you eat a nutrient-dense diet, which includes eating the rainbow, right? Eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, you're getting a plethora of different nutrients. You're getting vitamins, minerals, you're getting antioxidants, polyphenols. All these actually play a role to feed your cells and keep you healthy and give your body, equip it with everything that it needs to function properly and stay in homeostasis. Number 10 is self-care. Now, you may not have thought about self-care as part of giving you cravings, but it is. If we go back to the example that I gave you earlier about me wanting to eat something sweet when I'm sick or something, is because it's made me feel loved and made me feel relaxed, and it rewarded me, right? So when we're not taking care of ourselves and giving ourselves the love, then we rely on these external sources, and it comes from a form of food. And I've done this for years, so I do know that food plays such a big role with our emotions, specifically in the triggers and the emptiness that we can feel, but no amount of food will ever fill that void. And so starting to do things that you love and taking care of yourself, and no matter what, take out the time. If this is important to you and you're ready for that life change and lifestyle change, and you really want to get a handle on the cravings and your life, then I highly recommend that self-care is something that you make time for yourself, because it's gonna make you happier. It's gonna make you feel good about yourself, and you're not gonna want that piece of cake, or you're not gonna want to binge on anything that's not healthy for you. So all of these actually are different factors that play a role in how we eat and why we choose the foods we choose the foods we do. And so go ahead and start paying attention to these and start incorporating this one by one. It's a lot. I gave you a list of so many things to do, and don't feel overwhelmed. Start with something small. The best place to start is looking at all the hidden sugar that's in your food and focusing on eating whole foods. That's the best place to start. Okay folks, and that's all for today. And so I hope that this was helpful to you, that this will help you and guide you to where you want to go and achieve your goals. Again, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to turn the notification bell on so that you can get notifications every week when the videos go live. With gratitude and love, I hope you have an amazing